Every piece of a game needs good game design. I mean, it goes without saying. If the player has no idea what's going on, then you have failed as a game designer. This can even carry over to something simple, like a start screen. The Legend of Zelda, straight to the point. Press the start button. That simple. Yeah, Banana, on the other hand, a bit more confusing. You have this text that says, play game stage 1 design. I don't even know what that means. And then it's like, what the fuck are these things?
Banana?
Yeah, you remember the game.
No?
Ghost and Goblins, this one's just an image. They could have done a little bit more with it, but it's just 1 player, 2 players. There's nothing confusing about it.
Manhattan Police.
Oh, what the? Oh my god. This is a really... Okay, so I love this because...
Even though it seems boring, these title screens are what can turn a player away from your game. And there's another thing that might seem boring that every game has to have, but most games get wrong. The pause screen. And it all starts with this bad boy, the Atari 5200. Before this thing, leaving a game was a myth. You put a quarter in and that's it. If you walk away, you're done for. The Atari wanted to revolutionize that.
There's something no arcade game can.
Telephone! It's Judy!
It lets you freeze the action.
No longer were you forced to let your little brother take over while you used the restroom. Pause screens back then were treated a little differently than pause screens nowadays. All a pause button was back then was you hit a button and the game freezes. And then it wouldn't unfreeze until you hit the button again. Then stupid ass Sega came in with the Sega Master System. Some dumbass thought it'd be funny to put the pause button on the console itself. Pausing was no longer a luxury, it was a chore. You had to get up out of your seat just to pause your game. It certainly didn't help that they were making games like this. A pause screen can tie together the entire environment of your game. Just because the player's gameplay has stopped, doesn't mean their immersion has stopped. Let me show you a perfect example of a pause screen with personality. Wario World for the Nintendo GameCube. Right as soon as you press the pause button, you are greeted with Wario nagging you throughout the pause menu. There's even actually an Easter egg within this pause menu. If you wait for 15 minutes, Wario will apologize for bothering you for an hour, and then remain silent until you unpause the game. Now, is this annoying? Sure. Is it a great design choice for a pause menu? Definitely. It's also very on brand for Wario. Now let me show you the worst pause menu to ever exist. Listen, I don't know what piece of shit came up with this fucking pause menu, but this is the worst thing to ever exist. And game designers use it over and over again. This isn't a pause menu, this is a list of chores. And it can work sometimes when your game is simple enough to just have like 3 controls. But like, what the fuck is this? Don't tell the player how to play your game. Teach them how to play the game. They're going to see an obstacle in front of them and use their common sense to know how to get around it. Have the player wonder what happens when they hit 1, then once they hit 1, they realize they get an ability. I don't need a 12-page essay on how hitting 1 makes Kirby inhale an enemy. Because the truth is, games are meant to be played, not sit around and read. A game's pause menu is also heavily dependent on what type of game it is. For fighting games, you don't want all these complex options. Because a fighting game has nothing to do with immersion, it has everything to do with simplicity and skill. Man, I don't give a fuck about Ryu's troubled backstory, I'm just here to beat people's fucking ass. This is why most fighting games opt for this simple drop-down menu, often with a clear background so you still know where you are in the fight whenever you unpause. Even a game like Mortal Kombat, which has a ton of complex button presses, still opts for this more sleek fighting game style pause menu. This is the part where Nintendo comes in and goes, fuck you, we're gonna be weird. For some reason, Super Smash Bros., despite being a fighting game, does not opt for a simple pause screen at all. Instead, when you hit the pause button in Super Smash Bros., you get access to this free roam camera that you can use to take pictures or just look around the map. While I have kind of mixed feelings towards it as a pause screen, it is a really cool feature. On top of that, they made quitting Super Smash Bros. The worst possible experience ever. This is what it looks like trying to quit Super Smash Bros. All it takes really to be a good pause menu is just some simple options and some good music. And can we just take a second to appreciate some dope pause music? On top of that, game designers have cool ways of introducing pause menus. Take for example Grand Theft Auto 5. The whole pause menu is just a cell phone. From there, everything else is laid out in front of you. I mean, there's settings, there's messages, there's even an internet browser in their pause menu. So do you need an internet browser in your pause menu for it to be good? No, not necessarily. All a pause menu has to do is keep the player going. If it's a fighting game, keep the player in a fighting mood. If it's Pokemon, then get them ready for a battle. Okay, this one might need an internet browser.
That's it?